All right, welcome back. Today we're going to do how to do a Chaos purple armor. We're going to use this chap right here, and we're going to feature Two Thin Coats Amethyst Rhine, Pro Acryl Royal Purple, Army Painter Fanatic Mage Cast Magenta, and Army Fanatic Wicked Pink. We will end up using another few colors later, but these are going to be the baseline. So first we're going to take Two Thin Coats, we're going to water it down a little bit, and we're going to apply Two Thin Coats. With that done, we're going to go to our next color, the Royal Purple. Now you can see we got a nice solid base coat, and we're going to sketch out some spots for some highlights. Now, all the paints that we're going to use here today, we're going to need to make sure are nice and thin. We're probably going to need more than one coat of pretty much everything, so set yourself up for that. So at this point, I'm not so worried about realism. I just want to pick some spots I think will look cool, and I'm going to apply a guideline for where all the other colors will go. I'm going to try to follow the edge of the trim on the base and on the top of his knee plate here, just so that we have it when we're done. Now we start with magenta. Now we're going to attempt to try to get this in the middle of all the other ones we've done and on the edges of all the other ones we're done. We're going to keep it a nice and loose paint. We're not going to have it real thick, and we're going to apply multiple layers. We're going to follow the shapes that we've already made and try to leave some space in between them. Now we're on to our pink. Now it is super important to make sure this color is not too thick, and we're going to do our best to do lines in the middle of everything else that we've done. We're also going to try and get some edge highlighting in as we go, and we're going to feel the process out. So you kind of have to go slow and kind of figure out what works for you and what you like. Now you can stop here, or you can do any number of the next couple of steps I'm going to show you, but I went back to the magenta, and I'm just going to clean up my pink a little bit. And I'm going to do this a couple of times with each of the colors just to kind of better define where each one sits. We're always going to use thin layers, and we're always going to dry all the way in between layers so that we can get a smoother transition. You can do as much or as little of this as you like. Again, you're going to stop when you're happy with it, but I'm going to go back to the two thin coats, and we're going to apply some of this darker purple at the furthest edges away from the pink. And what you're going to see here is I'm going to go back and forth between all the various colors that I've used and just try to help smooth this out a little. We are going to use thin coats of this now. It's almost a glaze, meaning that it's a very thin version of this. And we're going to just kind of go back and forth a little bit until it gets to where I'm happy with it. So now to help bring it together, I'm going to take a little bit of glaze medium and the initial purple from two thin coats, and we're going to mix it and create a more normal glaze. And we're going to very slowly, through many layers, add this so we can bring all the different colors together. I'm also going to use it to reshape some of the bits of the light that I didn't like quite as much. What I'll end up doing is having some of it on and then taking some of it off, and then letting a little more on and then taking a little more off, just pushing and pulling until I get where I want to be, and then letting each layer dry. Remember, each layer of this glaze is very thin and is going to require a decent amount of drying time, and you will not see the effects right away. Now we're going to get Darkovan Nightshade, and we're going to thin it down a little bit with some water, and we're going to use it to manually put in some darker shadows where two pieces of armor meet. I'm also going to use it to create some dark points right behind some of my higher highlights. With it being thin, this is another one of those let it sit, let it dry completely before you try to go to the next thing, and be patient with it. You will probably be happier doing a few thin coats than you will doing one hard wash and then having none of your other work show up. As you see, this took a few layers as well, which is good because it's better to make incremental change than it is to do all this work and have huge change. Now for some extreme highlights in very limited amounts, we go to Pale Pink from Mountain Hobbies Pro Acrylic line. Less is more here, don't overdo this. Now, just like the theme to this whole video, we're going back to another color. So we're going to go back to the pink and we're going to reinforce where we've diluted it a little bit just to bring some of that color back. While we're reinforcing the color, we're also making sure to redefine the shape. I want these to be triangles as more than lines, thicker at the base, and I don't want them quite to touch now that I've gotten that look. And after some effort, you'll be able to get something that should hopefully look similar to this, but with your own style. You'll have to decide how much of each coloration you want to do.